You will hear a college lecturer being interviewed about the subject of her new book. Look at questions 1 to 7 and decide if the statements are true or false. First, you have some time to read the questions. Now, listen to the interview.
Now we turn to Pat Maynard, Senior Lecturer in Education at King's College London, to talk about her new book on co-educational schools, A Mixed Blessing, which is published today. Pat, your findings make fascinating reading. They seem to suggest that girls do not benefit from being educated in mixed-sex co-educational schools.
Well, I think they do more than suggest that. It is very clear from my research that girls are at a disadvantage in mixed-sex schools.
Can you give us some examples?
Certainly. We found, for example, that the behaviour of boys in the classroom towards girls actively discourages girls from speaking. When a girl tries to speak, typically boys fold their arms, lean back in their chairs, and groan or pull faces. They look bored and even make comments like, "Turn it off," or "Pull its plug out." Now, if you were treated to insulting behaviour like that, what do you think your reaction would be? It would take considerable courage to continue, and in fact, we found that most girls learn that keeping quiet rather than contributing to the lesson in any active way was the most sensible thing to do.
Indeed. So you found that boys do most of the talking in the classroom?
Yes, and not only do boys dominate the classroom verbally, but they do so physically as well. One girl, for example, told me that boys deliberately take up a lot of room. If a girl wants to get up and get something, she has to climb over boys' legs, blocking the aisles. Then we noticed that boys will deliberately lean across a girl's desk to each other, putting their arms all over her work in the process. And then, even worse, if the girl protests, he will act with astonishment as if he hadn't noticed that there was a girl sitting there.
That seems extraordinary, Pat. But what evidence do you have?
For example, we've got diagrams of classroom seating to show that boys dominate the teacher's line of vision and push girls to the edge of that vision. Another thing, we have many recordings of teachers telling girls to be quick when they're speaking, because if they're not, then the boys will start to make a noise and disturb the class. It's easier for the teacher if she or he pays more attention to the boys, because it's the boys and not the girls who cause the trouble. Girls don't make a noise when boys are talking.
But what about the argument that single-sex schools do not prepare girls, and boys too, for that matter, for life?
What goes on in mixed-sex schools is exactly what goes on in the outside world. Men, or in this case boys, dominate women, in this case girls. This is what people call normal behaviour. It is precisely for this reason that I would argue that girls should go to single-sex schools where they will not be dominated by boys and where they will have a chance to develop their potential without interference. Let's take our most famous example, Margaret Thatcher. Where would she be now if she had gone to a mixed school? But she was fortunate. She went to a school where she had a chance to speak, to learn how to express herself, to be listened to with respect and attention. So she was able to develop the confidence to go out into the world, a man's world, and to resist attacks from men. My research shows that this is what girls need.
Well, on that very interesting point, we must say thank you, Pat Maynard. Her book, A Mixed Blessing, is published today. Price £3.95.